again on my daughter-in-law. And I really just then wanted my husband, Charles, and my mum. Sloppy date, aren't I? And then I thought, you know, well, I'd never have a crossword with anybody, with my sons and that again. And also I thought, well, I'd had a good life.
Good afternoon. National Westminster Bank. How can I help you?
Who's in charge? Put me through to him.
Hello, can I help you?
What car do you drive?
Why do you want to know? My car's at home.
What's the registration of any car in the car park?
I don't know the registration number of any of the cars in the car park. I haven't got access.
A woman will be killed.
Hello? Hello?
But having driven around for another 3/4 of an hour, the kidnappers evidently decided to admit defeat.
We're letting you go now. Lie down there. Face down. Stay there for 5 minutes and don't look up.
There was no sound. I hadn't heard the car go away. I hadn't heard anything. I was just relieved to be alive. I'm still very angry to think that anybody would do it to us two, who've never done any harm to anybody in their lives.
Well, Mr. Rayner, descriptions of the two men have actually come to you from two separate sources. First of all, from that group of office workers we saw at the beginning walking down the lane. That was the week before the abduction, when presumably the men may have been recceing their route, perhaps in their own car. How are they described to you then?
Well, the driver is described as a man aged in his late 50s, stocky build, wearing dark clothing, possibly a boiler suit. The passenger is described as late 20s, early 30s, and the witness believes he's actually taller than the driver.
And then the day after the abduction, somebody in Harpington, a few miles away, saw these two men, who do look very similar.
They are very similar. In fact, we're quite confident that they are the same men that were in Porterswood last week.
So the descriptions really match?
They do.
In that case, do you think they could be local men?
Although they were in Harpington the day after the kidnapping, we don't think that they're local. We believe that they may have stayed in the St Albans or Harpington area, or they may even have come back to see what police activity there was.
Now, somebody watching tonight may have seen the men after they abandoned the stolen escort.
Yes, they may. The car itself was abandoned and set on fire in Punchbowl Lane, St Albans, and this is about 5 miles away from where Mrs Addington was left. Now, this is a very narrow country lane, and we believe that witnesses may have seen people transferring to another vehicle, or may have been held up by that vehicle travelling towards the M1 motorway, which is close by.
So if you remember that, please do call us. If you know who those two men might be, please give us a ring. The number here in the studio is 081 811 8181, or you can call the police headquarters in Hertfordshire direct, and that number is 0707 333354. That's 0707, the code for Welwyn Garden City, 333354.
A great response so far tonight, particularly on phone call of the petrol station robbery and the credit card theft, but the biggest volume of calls by far, almost as soon as the item started, was on the Jean Bradley murder. We've had a large number of potential suspects put forward as names. They seem to come in three groups, one from the Chiswick area of West London, another from the area of Vauxhall, New Cross, South London, and another group from the south coast of England, and all sorts of ideas of who he might be, as I say, with names and addresses in some cases, and we'll keep you posted on what happens. Sue.
Well, our next case is the callous murder of Nicola and Harry Fuller at their cottage in the village of Wadhurst in Sussex. The couple had only been married 6 months, and their families are finding it painfully hard to come to terms with the tragedy. During our reconstruction, you'll hear the actual voice of a man police are desperately trying to trace. We begin at a shopping precinct in Tunbridge Wells, where Nicola had been working part-time.
Oh, that's nice. Is it for someone special?
Well, for my boyfriend.
Would you like some ribbon?
Yes, please.
Nicky was a shy, private, quiet, dainty little girl, really.
I hope he likes it.
I'm sure he will. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Harry was just the opposite. He was considerably older than her. A very likeable character, though, larger than life, but he seemed to come from a different way of life than that we were used to.
He brought Nicky out of her shell, and she seemed to really enjoy life, being with him.
Right you are then. Okay. You're a gentleman. Just leave it to me. No problem. Cheers, mate.
Harry was always very protective towards Nicky. There was always a house full of flowers.
They met in June and the wedding was in August. The whole thing we thought was rather quick, but it was like a roller coaster. Once it started, there was no way of stopping it. But again, they were very happy. We grew to like him very much. He used to come here to Sunday lunch most weekends. He seemed to be looking for a sort of a family unit, and he certainly became a very popular member of the family.
Hello? OK, mate. Leave it to me.
Harry Fuller bought and sold cars. Most of his business was done on the phone.
I don't know, but if you leave it to me, I'll try and get it down a bit. No problem at all. OK, cheers.
Although he didn't read or write well, he had an eye for a good deal. A lot of his transactions were done in cash, and he often carried large amounts of money around.
Lot number 201 coming in, the Vauxhall Cavalier, the 1600L, January of 1989.
The day before he died, Harry spent the early part of the afternoon with a friend.
I've known Harry for about 13 years. I asked him to get me a vehicle because, having bought me one before, I knew he'd get me something reasonable. And I spent a couple of hours on that day with him at the auctions.
At £2,400 and selling for the first, at £2,400 selling for the second, third and final time, £2,400 K, your car's up.
Harry was always buying cars and looking for somewhere to store them. When he got the house at Wadhurst, it was like him winning the pools because he got a free car park there for all the cars he wanted to park.
It was last October that Harry and Nicola had moved to Sussex and rented Blackman's cottage in Wadhurst. It's Tuesday evening. Nicola was going out to a reunion with some friends at a restaurant in Tunbridge Wells.
Okay. I better go and get ready.
Oh, your friend phoned earlier on, but she's going to ring you back later.
A few days earlier, Harry started recording his phone calls. No one knows why. This is the only caller police haven't been able to identify.
How are you doing? Very well indeed. It couldn't be better.
I popped over last night to see you.
What time?
About 7.
I was up the gym, up at the golf club at Tysus.
There were some lights on, but I knocked.
Right. See you in the morning, my darling.
Hey, matey.
8 o'clock.
Take care.
Bye.
Ciao now.
Harry was a late riser, and to agree to an early morning meeting was very unlike him.
Oh, it's Harry. He's on time.
Harry had arranged to meet Nicola at the restaurant at about 11 o'clock to bring her home.
Thursday.
You're going Thursday?
Yeah, to Lanzarote.
Nicky was one of my closest friends. We'd known each other for a number of years. We used to go out together.
Really good. Yeah, I hope so. It'd be a nice break, you know. Hello, Harry.
Hello.
Nicky and Harry seemed very happy together. They were going on holiday to Lanzarote the following week. She was really excited about going to get suntan before the summer.
Early the next morning, a postman was startled by a car pulling out from behind the Fuller's cottage.
It's normally very quiet in the morning. A dirty blue Ford Escort pulled out in front of me, which caught me by surprise. The passenger seemed 35 to 40, tall and well built, and the vehicle travelled towards Tunbridge Wells.
Half an hour later, at about 7 o'clock, a witness saw two men get out of a cream-coloured Sierra and walk up the path to the cottage. The witness who saw these men gave the information anonymously. Police need him to contact them again.
Hello, old son.
Nobody saw the two men leave, but we know that Harry went out of the cottage about an hour and a half later, leaving the door ajar.
Good morning, can I help you?
20 Embassy number 1, please.
Thank you. 226, thank you. That's £10, thank you very much.
Thanks, cheers.
Bye.
Nicky had gone to a reunion on Tuesday night. and I hadn't spoken